Hello and welcome to the Nerva Beacon podcast, the podcast which is going to be your first stop for all things Doctor Who. I am Dreadwind, aka Glenn, your usual host, and also joining me is your other usual host. It is, of course, your friend and mine, the amazing Leigh.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Excellent stuff. We've just been mentioning that we've been napping this afternoon.
Yeah.
We are old.
I'm tired, had a very busy couple of days getting out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Plus the fact that we're old.
Yeah. Well,
There is that. We're getting old.
yeah.
I'm 42 this year. I'm the meaning of life this year. But yeah, getting old. It's like Sunday afternoon, had my lunch, need a bit of a nap. It's like, seriously. Oh well, never mind. Been up to anything Doctor Who-ish this week or anything interesting?
Just watching a few of 5 stories and finishing off watching Capaldi's era.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Enjoying it?
Yes, like I said, Robot of Sherwood on second, third watch is actually very, very good.
See, I like it as well, but people seem to apparently hate it. Because it's silly.
Yes, but
We can't have that in Doctor Who anymore.
that's what I liked about it. It was just a bit of silliness.
Yeah, it's a bit of comedy. It's a comedy one. And they used to have that all the time in RTD's era, and people used to love it. Like Love and Monsters.
That's not funny, that's just shit.
That's just harrowing.
No.
Oh, we'll get onto that when we get into the Ninth Doctor's era, but yeah, it's not going to get a glowing review. Sort of, I don't know, Robert Sherwood reminds me of things like Horns of Nemon,
Yes.
where he's not taking it all that seriously.
Yeah, they don't take it really seriously until about halfway through when they're in the cell and then near the end.
Yeah.
When Robin realised that he's not going to be remembered as a person. Just as...
No, it's just going to be a legend.
Yeah. Legend.
A legend.
Series.
A legend with Rwenge. Oh, cool. Anything else Doctor Who-ish that you've been doing?
No, not really. What about yourself?
Not much. I've been watching some of 5 stuff, as you say, and I've been sort of following a couple of news stories. Apparently Jodie Whittaker's not allowed to tell anyone how long her contract is.
Yeah, I heard that one.
That's not good. Don't like that. That sounds to me like they're hedging their bets.
Well, they're going to give her a year's rolling contract.
She's got a year, and they've not given her like a 3-year contract because they want basically to just get rid of her and not have to pay any money if they sack her after her first year.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds to me. It sounds like we don't really have any faith in a female doctor, and if you and figures drop, then you're gone, love.
I wonder why they bothered casting her in the first place, then if they've got confidence in her.
Yeah, I mean, from a business point of view, I agree it makes perfect sense. I agree it makes perfect sense that you would do that. If you're taking a risk on someone, then you're not going to want to have to sack her halfway through and then pay, because if it's a contract, they have to pay the rest of her contract.
Yeah.
And she's on a lot of money because she's on as much as Capaldi was. She's something like £170,000 an episode.
Yeah. That much? Bloody hell.
Yeah. She's on a lot of money. So yeah, I can see from a business point of view. However, you wouldn't tell her that she's not allowed to tell anybody what a contract. You would give her a bullshit line, or you would say, deflect it.
Yeah.
Just go on to the next question and just say, I'm not at liberty to say. Or something. You wouldn't just say, because that just tells everybody that you've got no faith in her.
Yeah.
Which isn't true. I think they have got faith in her. But there you go. The other news story that I wanted to just run by and just see what you thought of it is this Christopher Eccleston situation. Where basically he's just going around and saying, oh, Doctor Who shit and I'm proper northern. I have said for years I don't like Christopher Eccleston as a person. I really don't. And this just confirmed it.
Well, I think we'll have to kind of sums up what I think of that.
Was that what I just said?
Yeah, he's just I don't know. He didn't even like doing Thor.
Oh, well, he doesn't like doing anything. Yeah. This is the thing. I was talking about this to a friend of mine, Andy, who's been on the podcast, a main podcast a lot. And everything he's in, he's only ever there for like a season or a short amount of time. And he always claims it's because the working conditions aren't good. Or, you know, I just didn't like it. I just wanted to cut my throat, put a gun in my mouth. And it's like, we did the same with Cracker. Apparently he was on like a 3-series deal with Cracker. And he left after one series. And he blamed the producers and blamed the directors. And I think it's him. I'm going to go out on a limb and just say, I think he is a trouble causer.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he is a very, very, very good actor. I mean, I did like...
Is he?
I don't know. I did like him as the Doctor. He was brilliant as the Doctor.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he, though?
Yeah. I mean, I can't see Ten pulling off the Slitheen stories.
No. But then again, he wasn't offered the role to start with, was he, Eccleston? It was Hugh Grant who was offered the role originally, and he turned it down. And Eccleston was second choice. And I think, number one, that probably rankled him. He wouldn't have liked that. And number two, I just don't think he was the right... I don't think he was the right actor for the part.
Well,
I think he's... Sorry, Leigh?
We just wanted a big name in anyway.
Yeah, it's just because, again, they literally had no faith in Tennant. Which is ironic.
Yeah, I always think that Casanova was Tennant's audition for the Doctor.
I think that was RTD bringing him to the BBC's attention. I think RTD already knew that's who he wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought, because if he puts him in a role that's a little bit doctorish,
that and Blackpool.
Then he...
That and Blackpool.
He was ace in Blackpool. He was ace. I love Blackpool. Not many people watched it at the time, and not many people seem to remember it now. But I love Blackpool. It was great because David. That's it. He was brilliant as well as Ripley Alden.
Yeah, he was, and Sarah Parrish is on it.
She was. Basically, just full of people who ended up in Doctor Who eventually.
Yeah.
Because obviously he was Jackson Lake, wasn't he, David Morrissey?
Yeah.
The best Doctor we never had.
Yes.
He would have been ace as the Doctor with David Morrissey. Never going to happen. Well, I mean, it could happen now. You never know. One day. Happened with Capaldi.
Yeah. Isn't his brother the one who was in Sharp? Philip Morrissey.
Yes, I think so. Oddly enough, I was watching Sharp the other day. You know who was supposed to be Sharp originally?
No, who?
Just tied to Doctor Who, McGann.
Oh, yes, I remember he broke his leg or something, so he couldn't do it.
Exactly that. Because he couldn't do that, Sean Bean stepped in, and because he lost basically the Sharp role, it left him free to be able to do Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Not weird. One of the best and longest serving Doctors ended up, it was just like an accident that helped him do it. But, back to Eccles Cakes. He's just going around now. He's obviously slagging off the big budget films that he did. Obviously, must have been awful to receive all that money to work on them. And, he should have given it back, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah, but to be honest, he was terrible in Thor. The only thing that kept that going was Loki. He
was pointless in Thor. He might as well not have been there.
Yeah.
He wasn't that great in G.I. Joe, to be fair. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was much better as Cobra Commander. He kind of got it, whereas Eccleston was trying to act.
Yeah.
He was like, why bother? But he was in those. He was in Heroes and he was shit in that as well.
Yeah.
And then he did loads of other American stuff. In his self-imposed exile, because I was blacklisted back to BBC.
Didn't John Culshaw take the piss out of him once? I'm a serious actor, I am.
It was, Phil Cornwell.
Yeah.
Because they did a sketch about it, didn't they?
Yeah.
On Dead Ringers.
Yeah, so his family's Star Trek.
Yeah. I'm a serious actor, I am. It's just, no one at the BBC blacklisted him. I don't think they blacklisted him. I think because he was obviously under more than a one series contract, and he walked out. He didn't leave. He didn't get sacked. He walked. And it's pretty, if you read between the lines of what he says, it's obvious that that's what he did.
I think they should have just gotten Jimmy Neal in to do the part instead.
Oh, it would have been nice. That would have been, especially if he played it like he did Spender.
Yes.
Or even Oz. If he played it like Oz, that would have been
Spender and Oz, yeah.
Oh, could have had Kevin Whately as his companion.
Yes.
Oh.
See them every now and again when I'm in Newcastle.
Oh, that'd be ace. I would have to seriously resist the temptation to walk up to him and say, I love you, Jimmy Neal. I think you're it.
My dad used to know him years and years ago before he got famous.
Is that when you used to work on the shipyards and stuff?
Yes, and he did the working man's clubs. And
of course he did.
He was getting...
He's a singer, wasn't he?
Yes, he was getting naked on booze, and so one day he just went on stage naked, and that was it.
Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it? But yeah, he walked out, and now, pardon me if I'm wrong here, or I'm sort of being nasty, but if you walk away from a job, that employer tends not to really want to employ you again.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, oh, I want happy, so they should employ me. It's like you're not entitled to a career at the BBC, Chris. You can't just walk away from it and say, oh, well, they should employ me, because that's never going to happen.
It's like when you leave the job. Well, I know it's not exactly like it, but if you leave the armed services and the forces and then you try to go back, they won't let you go back.
No, of course they won't. And yeah, it is exactly the same thing. If you're working for a corporation, whether, if it's a media corporation or any kind of corporation, you go back after you walked out on them, they're going to be a bit reticent to give you a job. Yeah. Because you're unreliable, and which is at the end of the day, you're unreliable. And he has been for years now. And to come back and say, oh, well, why should I be let go and all that? And I had to go to America. Now they employ me now, but I'm still going to slag them off. I'm still going to slag off Doctor Who, even though nobody who worked on the series when he was there is working on the series now.
Yeah, but he's not.
You're not helping.
He's not going to get employed by Disney anymore now after he's slagged off Thor.
No, well, right, but he was never going to get a job with them anymore anyway, because he was shit in Thor.
Yeah.
That was a shit film, to be fair. If Ragnarok hadn't have existed, then Thor would have been known as a shit franchise, sadly.
To be honest, Tom Hiddleston carries that.
Of course he did. Absolutely he did.
I wish Tom was the Doctor as well.
Well, like I said, he's not my favourite Doctor. I would put him at the bottom of my list anyway, and that was before he came out with this shit. But it really makes me angry from a Doctor Who perspective that he does this now. Right before we've got the female Doctor coming up. It's a tenuous time for the series anyway. A lot of people are a bit weirded out anyway that the series is going in a new direction, and some people are just looking for ammo to chuck at the series. And this just gives them ammo. It gives them something to talk about other than we've got a female Doctor. What really is pissing me off is the amount of so-called feminists and so-called people who are supporting Jodie who aren't getting really angry about this. Because what we should be talking about is how awesome Jodie Whittaker is and how awesome the series is going to be with her in charge. We're not. We're talking about, Christopher Eccleston is talking about Doctor Who in a very negative fashion, and we're all getting negative about it.
Yeah.
They should be really having a go. I mean, he, as a so-called feminist, should be shutting up. It's been, 13 years since he was in the role. He's not particularly talked about Doctor, and he's not the one that saved the series. I will always take issue with that. That was Tennant who saved the series, because they were seriously considering cancelling it before he came on. It was a rating success, it was a critical success, but the BBC weren't seeing much return for their money.
Yeah.
And Tennant came along and made it super, super, super popular around the world. But anyway.
Came along and Christ, it really, really took off in America because they were only used to seeing Fourth Doctor stories on PBS. They never showed any more than that. It was always the Fourth Doctor. Yeah.
It's because he's sellable, eccentric and British. And Davison got a fair whack. But yeah, 10 certainly. He's, as much as I like other Doctors better, only an idiot would say that 10 isn't probably the most popular Doctor than the Fourth these days.
Yeah.
Probably more popular than the Fourth.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because, he blew it out of the water. Even if he had a bad script, he still shone.
Yeah.
You know, there are some shit stories in the RTD era. They're terrible. But he always comes out of it looking good. Because he's good. But there you go. But yeah, Eccleston, shut up, mate. Innit? Just shut your gob, will you? Just shut your northern gob. He's just aggressively northern, and it winds me up. Because apparently he was terrible to work with in Our Friends in the North. Daniel Craig fucking hates him.
Yeah.
And Daniel Craig doesn't hate anybody. He's a really nice man, and he really doesn't like Christopher Eccleston. So he must be really... Oh, I can't stand him. I can't stand Christopher Eccleston. Just chip on his shoulder. The other news that we have is some casting news from a series... whatever it is. The new series, anyway. Got some actors going to be in it, obviously. But Alan Cumming's going to be in it. Finally. He's going to be James the 1st and 6th. So James the 6th of Scotland, James the 1st of England.
Well, but it's a story about witches.
Yeah. I mean, what do you reckon?
I reckon it's going to be about witches because King James had a thing about witches, and
that was Macbeth, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, Macbeth was written for, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was, to take the piss out of him because Shakespeare didn't like him.
Carrier Knights, do you reckon they'll come back?
Well, that'd be nice. That was a really, really good storyline, that one.
If she runs into Shakespeare again. I doubt it. But I'd totally see Dean Lennox-Kenny back. Because he was ace.
Yeah.
You don't see enough of him on telly anymore, Dean Lennox-Kelly.
No, I haven't seen him in anything since Doctor Who. But then...
No, it must be theatre now.
But then again, I haven't got a television, so...
Well, there is that. But yeah, so Alan Cumming's going to be in it. And apparently this weekend, Lee Mack's he was accidentally announced that he was going to be in it, but he's going to be in an episode as well as Lee Mack.
I like him. I love Knock on it. Not the latest series, but I like the early ones.
Yeah, I like Lee Mack a lot. He's great. So that's definitely some good news coming out. So yeah, it's starting to trickle through his news.
But then again, I find him and Bradley Walsh interchangeable.
Well, Bradley is going to be in it, so you know. You'll finally get to see whether they are the same person or not. Lee Mack's responsible for one of my favourite jokes of all time.
Which is?
It's to do with he does this whole routine about dirty French. And it's really stupid dirty French stuff. It's like, one of them is, yeah, you might have all your French cuisine and all your lovely meals and that, but you will never know the joy of opening a tin of beans and finding out there's little sausages in it. And this is the other one, which is my favourite one. It's French bananas. They're dirty bastards. They all taste like pineapples. It's a play on the French word for pineapple, which is ananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's every language but British, but English.
Exactly. Every language should be. Because that's why I voted leave, right? Anyway. I didn't vote leave. But we are here today to talk about the Fifth Doctor. Because obviously Tom Baker regenerated into Peter Davison and became a vet and lived in Yorkshire. The end. Yeah. No, that's not true. So at the end of Legopolis, he fell off the Pharos tower and knackered his back, basically. He gave himself a bit of a back issue. And he regenerated into Peter Davison, the Fifth Doctor. And some people were very happy. And some people really weren't. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about whether he was any good. Now, Lee, you're a bit of a Fifth Doctor fan. Supposedly. What is it you like about the Fifth Doctor?
He's always optimistic. And he always goes that bit further. I mean, all you have to do is look at the end of Caves of Androzani for that. Yeah, go straight right to the end of his era.
Yeah, there you go. He's always, he's this, he's got the air of this bloke who's been ground down.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you say, starts off really optimistic and wide-eyed and just wants to go around the universe and look at the wonder, and then the universe seems destined just to piss him off at every turn.
Yes. That starts coming into it more when Terrell turns up.
Yes. Well, he's sort of there in the first season as well, because he's have all these nice adventures, and then the universe just gets darker and darker around him, which I think has something to do with Eric Sayward somehow. Yeah, just everything about the universe just gets a bit darker and a bit more dangerous. Would you say he's passive? Because a lot of people say that he's a passive Doctor, that things sort of would play out no matter what.
Not particularly.
No?
It's just that he just occasionally has second thoughts. I mean, he could have easily shot Davros, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Straight back to Genesis of the Daleks when he decides not to kill them. Not to end them before they've even begun.
Mm. So you wouldn't say that he sort of lets things happen to him rather than is proactive?
50-50. Sometimes he just goes with the flow. Other times he's like, no, let's sort this out.
Yeah.
Like in the 5 Doctors, he refuses to allow Rassilon to get away with what he's doing.
Yeah. Because I think the word that comes up most when people are talking about him is vulnerable. Mm. Would you say he's vulnerable, or would you say that's just sort of like the second Doctor? It's a bit of an act.
It's a bit of an act. Because to be honest, if he'd had a few stronger storylines, he would have been absolutely bloody badass.
Yeah, because that's the other issue, isn't it? Is the fact that all the Doctor Who writers that had been there originally and that had been there previously, JNT refused to let any of them work on it. Because he said, new Who, it's New Who, it's a new era of Doctor Who, and we're not going to have any of the old writers back, and we're going to give new young writers a chance, which I think has something to do with money more than anything else. And we're going to have a new script editor in the form of Eric Sayward, who really likes the grimdark universe. But we're going to use people we never used before, and new directors, and the series, I mean, objectively, the series suffers because of it.
Yeah.
Because you've got inexperienced people. It's not the fact that they're rubbish. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that they're inexperienced.
Yeah.
And maybe haven't worked on this sort of series before, maybe don't get it. And JNT overfilled the TARDIS. Do you think that's fair to say?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they did the right thing getting rid of Patrick because he was more Blue Peter presenter than actual actor, but then we all know that he wasn't an actor anyway.
Well, he's literally acted in nothing else since, has he? I don't think.
No, I don't think.
I think he's a writer now, isn't he? He's a novelist.
Yeah. But, I think Tegan and Nissa are perfect, but Adric, they were right to get rid of him.
I would go further. I would go further and just say get rid of Tegan as well. I think because
had that wonderful ending, well, not wonderful as such, but really awful, heart-wrenching ending of Resurrection of the Daleks.
Yeah, where you have a companion who literally cannot take it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's never happened before that you've had a companion literally run away and you say, I can't take any more of this death.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's a lot of death in Resurrection.
Yeah.
There's a higher body count than something like Pulp Fiction, I think it is. Or more violence in it than Reservoir Dogs, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is.
But you would literally have her running away and at the end saying, "My heart, Tegan."
I think it's the story where only one person doesn't die. Everybody just seems to die in that one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think everybody dies. It's just left with us three at the end.
I think Lytton survives because that carries.
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah, because that one carries on.
Because he gets killed in the next one that he's in.
Yes.
Even though that's a weird one because they make out like him and the Doctor have had a previous relationship when they don't even meet each other.
Yeah.
In Resurrection, it's very, very odd. But there you go. Yeah. So the violence, obviously the accusation is always that it's the Sixth Doctor where the violence is ramped up, and it really is the Fifth Doctor's era that it's ramped up.
Yeah.
It's just that it's more noticeable, I think, with the Sixth Doctor.
And that's because the stories are more condensed in his era.
yeah, it's sort of spaced out over the Fifth Doctor's stories rather than. But they, there are reasons for that. In the early 80s, they were competing now with things like Buck Rogers and Battlestar Galactica, which were being shown on ITV, and sort of later on, things like the A-Team. Because the violence isn't any worse than something you'd find in the A-Team or Knight Rider.
Yeah.
It's just that it seems more because it's Doctor Who. And it's British, and we like to consider ourselves not very violent, even though we totally are. We totally are.
There's a reason
you don't...
British people don't have guns. You still find...
Yeah.
Exactly what would happen.
Absolutely. But yeah, from listening to the Big Finish audios that I have, I always think that Nyssa and the Doctor were probably perfect. It should have been them rather than... I think Tegan should have gone a lot sooner. But then again, a lot of the stuff with Perry's really good. Perry suited him down to the ground. Should have been a companion for a lot longer than she was. Yeah. And I think, had he stayed, they would be an iconic pairing. And he very nearly did, apparently. Yeah. He very nearly stayed. And that would have been an interesting thing. But let's have a look at some of... Oh, sorry.
He went back to Creatures Great and Small, didn't he?
He did. And he did things like kept going back to Sink or Swim. He was the first Doctor who was working on other things while he worked on Doctor Who.
Oh, and he played my favourite as detective ever,
Campion.
Yes. I absolutely adore Marjorie Allingham's books. It was actually...
I never really watched it.
It was actually because
I'm gonna be honest.
that I got into her books. Because I thought, this has got Peter Davison and he used to be the Doctor. And then when
I've seen
the books straight round the library, I think it was about 10, 11 at the time.
You in a library?
No.
Doesn't sound right.
No, not at all.
Don't like books?
No, I bloody hate them.
I never really saw Campion. Was that 1990s, wasn't it? Sort of early 90s?
Yeah. I'm
trying to think. There must have been something on ITV. I think I was watching Jeeves and Worcester.
Yeah, it was on a Sunday night. So
yeah, It's definite Sunday night telly, wasn't it? I think it was on, might have been on in the summer?
Easter.
Easter, there you go. So spring, so the early 90s it would have been on when Lovejoy wasn't on. And ITV at that time would have probably been showing Jeeves and Worcester. So I would have been watching that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Because there must have been a reason I didn't watch it, because there's no Sunday night I'm in watching telly. That's me. Even as a kid, that's what I was doing. But yeah, he was working on all kinds of other stuff. Like I say, up until about the early 80s, he was doing All Creatures, and that ended around 81. But came back after he stopped being the Doctor, so he came back and did Tristan again. Who I loved. I loved Tristan Farr, he was great. And like I say, he was doing things like Sink and Swim. Very Peculiar Practice is the main thing. And loads of other stuff. Whereas before, other Doctors hadn't worked as well, but he was that young that he could.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to get typecast. Didn't work. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. He isn't typecast as the Doctor. He's just... A lot of people will always know him as the Doctor.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he's worked loads. As Davidson. He's been in loads of things. But we'll have a look at some of the stories now that he did. Starting with the first one, Castrovalva.
Yeah, this is the one where he unravels the scarf.
Yes, it's basically just getting rid of any trace of the Fourth Doctor. Yeah. Because this is the period where J&T and Tom Baker didn't get on. But it's on the face of it, a very clever story, but at the end of the day, it's a very simple story. It's just that Bidmead does like to try and science things up where science doesn't need. Although this one's not too bad because it's based on an M.C. Escher painting. Yeah. And I do like M.C. Escher's work. So I really like this one. I do like the fact that they try and cover up who the Master is. It's the poor Treve who isn't obviously Anthony Ainley. And he's played by Neil Toyneur, which is Anthony Ainley anagram. They thought they were clever.
Yes, it does their anagrams back then.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Sherd's in it, so automatically it wins with me.
Yeah.
And it's got it's got Shardavan in it as well. I love Shardavan. He's great. He's the fly in the Master's ointment.
Good.
We just say, it's just a construct who says, nah, something's not right. And it's a, I'll be honest with you, the way they find out that it's all a construct and it's a load of rubbish is great, because you don't at the start realise what's going on. Because these books are 500 years old, yet it starts the development of Castrovalva from ancient times to the present day. And it's great. Oh, that's great. I love that. Other than that, it's bullshit. It's great bullshit. It's entertaining bullshit, but it is bullshit.
Very good bullshit. I never understood why Adric was trapped up in that spiderweb thing.
because JNT liked it. I think has something to do with it. JNT liked the idea of Matthew Waterhouse in bondage. Somehow. But yeah, it's rubbish. It's, the whole TARDIS. Oh, there's a console on the TARDIS that suddenly appeared that we never noticed before and goes away as soon as because Adric made it. Because it's block transfer, which we're never going to really explain. That's the best thing about it. Just go with it.
I'll explain later.
Well, exactly. I'll explain later. I do like the wheelchair that he's in, though, and I do like the idea of the zero room and all that kind of stuff. And carmine leakage. Oh no, it's Tegan's lipstick. And it's like, it's got a lot of concepts that would be used later on, but really, essentially, it's also the first appearance of the Brainy Specs. They do make an appearance. So you've got this thing with Davison where he would always, as the Fifth Doctor, be an old man in a young man's body.
Yeah, and he pulls out his half moon specs every now and
then. He had a lot of First Doctor in him. Even though it's obviously the Second Doctor is Davison's favourite. I always feel that Matt Smith did that old man in a young man's body thing better.
Yes, he did. He was absolutely perfect. I remember watching Time of the Doctor last week. And at the end where he's with his old man makeup on, which is a lot better than what they did with Tennant's old man.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Gollum.
It was just, I believe this is an old person. And then when he's talking to Amy at the end, Amelia at the end of the Big Bang, he said, that's an old man in a young man's body. Yeah,
he just looked tired sometimes. He could just have this give this look where he just looks absolutely just spent. And I totally get what he was doing, and it was, it was that Davison old man thing. Don't get me wrong, Davison could do it as well. But he had to be bigger, I guess. Just because of the time that he did it. But anyway, Castrovalva, it's a good story. I do like it. One of my favourites, I think, of the Fifth Doctor. Move on to Fall to Doomsday, which was actually the first one filmed.
I don't like this one. Sorry.
It's not great, is it?
No.
It doesn't know what it wants to be.
No.
And you can tell that he's not at ease with filming at the moment. He's not got the character down. He's still finding it, and you got that whole. I don't know. I like the idea that androids. Of physicals from history being turned into androids. I like that idea. I just don't think it's not realised as well as it should have been.
Yeah.
It's a bit muddled. It's one of those things where if you've got a TARDIS full of people, they just seem to argue all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of arguing going on before Adric goes. And they tend to walk all over the Doctor a bit. And it's that trope, and they got too comfortable with the trope where Tegan always wants to go home, and she's always moaning about not going home, and Adric's always moaning because he thinks that this should happen and that should happen, and Nyssa is the voice of reason and should be the only companion there.
Yeah.
Fall to Doomsday is just mainly arguing.
That's why I don't like it.
Yeah, there's no real story there at all going on. And it's Monarch, isn't it? Because it's Stratford Johns is there, isn't it? It's where you first see Enlightenment as well. But Quark's in it, I guess, which is fun. This is also the start of, not the start, because Castrovalva did it as well, but the Target novelisations before had all been paintings or drawings. And this is where they got really lazy and just put photos on the covers. And it just looks cheap. It never looks good. I do remember that one, though, because we had it in the school library. And anybody who follows us on Facebook will know that I have had a lot of books from the school library that I never took back. Whoops. Yeah. As a librarian, you should be fucking livid about that.
Well, I need to talk, because I've got a library book here from about 20-odd years. Yeah, about 20 years ago. That I should have taken back. T.S. Eliot's poems. Should have been taken back in 1997, but I never did.
See, if anybody ever needs to know the sort of gulf in intelligence between me and Leigh, or who the smarter one is, she's got T.S. Eliot books. I used to take Doctor Who target novelisations.
Well, it was for my degree.
Hey?
It was for my degree, 20th century literature.
Yeah. Well, the point then stands. Leigh's doing a degree in 20th century literature. I'm sat here going, oh yeah, Doctor Who. But anyway, we'll move on to a very, very good one. Kinder.
Yes, I love this one.
Now you're talking. It's weird.
It terrified me as a kid. They just not snakes, but I'm fine with them now.
It's not that. With me, it's got a feel of something like Apocalypse Now, kind of.
Yeah.
It's you're out on a planet in the middle of nowhere, and you've got weird cults, and it's an oppressive hot jungle, and you've got a guy in charge who's clearly bonkers.
Yeah. And
you've got a second in command who's even more bonkers. Mm-hmm. And you're stuck out there with no shoes. What are you going to do with the woman who did Will Quack Quack? It's just a weird one. And the Mara was a great villain that was never used to its full potential. Mm-hmm. Because it's been used in the audios, I think. The Mara's come back in the audios, but it's never been used again in the series. And I feel that's a shame, because that's a really good villain, because it's abstract. Mm-hmm. You've got a villain that isn't corporeal, really.
Yeah.
And it exists in the mind more than anything else, because it comes back in Snake Dance.
Yes, that one.
And it comes back because of Kinder. It stays in Tegan's head all that time, which is great. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. And
they've never really gone back to a villain like that.
They should.
I think they should. It's like the Dream Lord sort of thing, you know. It's always there. You should totally have the Dream Lord back at some point.
Yeah.
Or definitely get a companion who is susceptible to the Mara. But yeah, it's great. It's Kinder. Very good. We'll move on to the Visitation, which... Oh, sorry.
I was just about to say, what freaked me out a bit about that one was the way the snake lifted itself off our arm. It started a tattoo or something, and then it became real.
Yeah, Snake Dance, wasn't it?
Oh, Snake Dance, that is.
That's Snake Dance, that one. That's, because you've got her and Clumsy holding hands. Look at me. Look at me. That's ace, is that? But we'll get onto that in a second. We'll move on, though, to the Visitation. Which is good and shit in equal parts. It's good, but it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
I like the Pteroleptals as a species. I think they're interesting, although these aren't the Pteroleptals. These are just prisoners. I like the fact that it ties into Pudding Lane and 1666 and the Great Fire and all that. But they just casually get rid of the sonic screwdriver.
Yes, and it never came back. So
was a mistake.
Yes.
I think that was a mistake.
Yes, it was, because the Doctor always needs that locked up.
It's his magic wand, isn't it, you know? I think Davison's gone on record as saying it was a mistake as well.
That's the whole thing about the Doctor. He doesn't go around killing. Well, he does go around killing, but he doesn't go around killing indiscriminately, and he always thinks before he does. And he normally goes around fixing things, and that was the point of the screwdriver. I'm the Doctor. I fix things. What? You put up a cabinet?
Yeah. Well, 12 says that, isn't he? He's a bloke who goes around the universe with the screwdriver fixing things. And yeah, I completely agree. I think it was such a mistake to get rid of it. It's just because JNT didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody should have stood up to him and just said, "No, mate, you're not. It's no." It's the same as the bloody stupid costume with the fucking
question
marks.
Yeah.
I like the cricketer's costume. I have no problem with that. The question marks. Even Davison says they were stupid, and he hated them. But yeah, visitation. It's fine. Sorry.
Doesn't add any mystery. I know that was the whole point. Add a little bit of mystery, but it didn't work.
No, because it doesn't. Because it's like it's too meta.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like he is acknowledging that. Oh, look, I'm this character, and I go around. You know, he's not a superhero. At the end of the day, he should never be treated as such, or have a faction symbol or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like I remember when the 8th Doctor came around, they tried pushing the Wrestlonian symbol, lads. They tried to have that everywhere in the TARDIS.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which doesn't make sense at all if you think about it. Because it's like, oh, he's proud of his heritage. No, he's not. He's not. That's why he goes around the universe.
They haven't got Gallifreyan symbols in the TARDIS now anyway. Particularly 11 and 12.
Yeah. They would never have it. Because, no. It's always getting older. No, that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, visitation. It's alright. It's got him out of the, the dude who was in EastEnders, Eddie, Michael Melia.
Yeah.
He usually plays Hardmen. But in that he was playing quite an erudite pterodactyl. That always freaked me out a bit. Because it was, they made a book of the production of it. For like a textbook. Not a textbook. Like a picture book. And again, they had it at school, which I might have taken. But yeah, it was Doctor Who, the making of a TV series or something like that it was. And it was ace. It did tell you a little bit about how they made the series and stuff and production and things like that. It was good. I like that book. I like books like that about Doctor Who. But anyway, moving on to a story I really like and everybody else hates. Black Orchid.
Yes.
I really like Black Orchid.
It's perfect. It's only proper historical story since Hartnell.
Something like that, yeah.
There's no alien. There's no.
Pertwee, I'd say actually, because Time Warrior is sort of it's a pseudo historical. But yeah, there's no aliens in it. There's no invasion angle. It's just like a Poirot mystery. A lot of people say Marple mystery. I don't think it's Marple. It's Poirot.
Yeah.
It's a murder mystery, isn't it? But it's ace. It's good. I really enjoy it.
It was nice to see them in different clothes as well.
Adric gets literally nothing to do. He's eating through all of it. There's just nothing to do. Just fuck off, Adric. It's one of those, again, where Adric and Tegan might as well not be there. Because it all concerns Nyssa anyway.
Yeah.
And she's ace in it, is Sarah Sutton. She's great, because she plays double roles. She's brilliant. And Michael Cochrane's in it as well. I love Michael Cochrane. I was saying this to Shane. Hello, Shane. Your name checked again. But I was saying that it's like whenever Michael Cochrane pops up in something, he's the guy who played Simerson in Sharp. And he plays George in this. He's great. He's in loads of audio as well, Big Finish stuff. Playing different characters. He was in Ghostlight as well. But he's in loads of a lot of the Tom Baker stuff on Big Finish, because I think they're mates.
Yeah.
And he plays similar sort of characters in some, but he's plays his character in there's an arc with the Stigron with those, and he's just great. He's playing gung ho, hello, yes, oh, tally ho, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, he's fucking ace. He's Michael Cochrane. He needs to be in more stuff, but he's brilliant as George Conley. I think it's George. He is in there. But yeah, apparently people hate Black Orchid. It's only 2 episodes.
I know. I do like.
What's the hate?
Nothing.
Apparently the cast really hated it.
The Doctor plays cricket. They get to have a nice time. Murder mystery. There's no aliens. It's just humanity at its possible worst.
It's a palate cleanser before the grim dark of Earthshock.
Yeah.
And it is grimdark, is Earthshock. This is basically Eric Sayward's Cyberman Wet Dream. Because for years he'd wanted to see them back and they never came back. And when they did come back in Revenge, as we mentioned previously, they weren't really that threatening.
No, but they are in this.
Yeah, well, Sayward wanted to make them scary again, didn't he? He wanted to make them sort of as scary as to Daleks.
Yeah. The more
and I think I think he succeeded.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll have to go into Earthshock really, really in depth at some point.
Yeah. They called this one Earthshock, if I remember rightly, because they didn't want anybody to know that the Cybermen were in it.
Yes.
Till
the
conclusion of the first episode.
Exactly. They had a closed set as well, because usually they had a gallery that people could watch filming. Mm-hmm. It was completely closed. Nobody was allowed in. And they refused a Radio Times, Radio Times cover as well. Because BBC said, we want to put the Cybermen on the cover. And said, are you shitting me? We've gone to all this effort to keep it quiet and you're just going to put them on. Because they did the same thing with Day of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Because I think Terence Dix wanted to keep it quiet. But the BBC said, no, more people will watch if more people will watch if at the end of the first episode you have Daleks and then word of mouth gets around.
Yeah.
Which is what happened with Earthshock. Loads. The viewing figures went up and up and up. Because it started at 9.1, it ended up at 9.6.
Yeah.
It was 9.1 for the first episode, 8.8 million for the second, 9.8 for the third, and then 9.6. So it went up as of the first episode, which is what you want. That's what you want to happen.
Yeah.
And
your kid going into school, boy, the Cybermen were in that episode last night. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's sort of the pseudo water cooler moment, isn't it? Even though they seem to be just wrapped in cling film. The only thing that I think is wrong with that, and it's not her fault, bless her, she was woefully miscast, which, JNC did occasionally. Beryl Reid.
Yes.
She does have this to be fair, she wasn't the first choice.
Mm-hmm.
The first choice would have been awesome, and that was Pat Phoenix.
Yeah.
But she couldn't, she was too busy with Cora. People don't know who Pat Phoenix was. She played Elsie Tanner in Coronation Street, and she was ace.
The best character ever. I still say that now.
Elsie Tanner?
Yes. I'm not old enough to have seen the original broadcast, but I have seen the episodes with her in, and she is absolutely fucking brilliant.
See, I am old enough to remember Elsie Tanner. She was ace. She was fucking awesome. You would not cross her. She kind of like Aureen in Home and Away. Mm. That's the closest character in all of soap. Because she's just this, you would say chav, bit chavvy, bit common. But you would not fuck with her at all.
No.
She was a really big camp icon as well, she is. And that's who they originally wanted. And when they couldn't get her, Beryl Reid became available. And she was a bit like Pat Phoenix.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, she throws herself into the role. Mm-hmm. She doesn't hold back, doesn't Beryl? And she was ace. But imagine how cool it would have been with Pat Phoenix in that role.
I'll always see Beryl Reid as Adrian Moles now.
Yeah.
She'll always...
So I used to get her mixed up with Irene Handel, so I was thinking she's something to do with Metal Mickey. Mm-hmm. But Irene Handel would have been good. It's a bit old, but... Yeah. She would have been... Oh, she would have been good with Pat Phoenix, but never mind. The only other weird thing about it is the well-prepared meal statement. You'll never know what it is to look at a sunset or pick a flower or eat a well-prepared meal. What? What do you mean, doctor? The other good thing about it is I like the clear mouth on the Cybermen. Mm-hmm. You can see the dead mouth moving within.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That was Eric Sayward's idea, I think. But this is the first time when you get, what's his chops playing the Cyber Leader. Mm-hmm. What's his name? Looking up his name, I always forget his name. He played the Doctor as well, eventually. David Banks, there we go. Who became to the Cybermen what John Scott Martin was to the Daleks.
Yeah.
So he was Cyber Leader. Mm-hmm. And he was awesome. I mean, he kept the show going years later as well. He was in Doctor Who, The Ultimate Adventure as the Doctor. He's written loads of books, quite a few novels about Doctor Who as well in the old era. Yeah, Banks was very much a proper advocate for the show. He loved it. But yeah, Earthshock, and obviously Adric dies in Earthshock. Spoilers. And actually, it's a really sad scene. What's that?
You're supposed to say spoilers before.
Meh, whatever. It's a 30-year-old show. 36 years old? It's nearly 40 years ago. I think we're alright. But yeah, Adric dies. And it's really actually quite sad, the way they do it. I never really liked Adric as a character, but I always feel a bit sorry for him. Because he's holding his brother's belt and he's saying, well, no, I'll never know if I was right. I do like it's a character trait of Adric that he has to be right all the time.
Yeah. Well, he is a teenager.
So, well, even in death, he has to know that he was right. The only thing is, when they cut back to the TARDIS, I always think, they're giggling. When they're supposed to be crying, Nyssa and Tegan, they're giggling. Because that's what actors do. It's inappropriate. So that's the first thing that they want to do. And you can tell when you know, because I never knew for years. And then you watch you listen to the commentary and you find, oh yeah, they are totally cops in their fucking asses off. So that kind of ruins the moment a bit. But yeah, well,
to die and stay dead since Katarina.
Adric, yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of comes back in Big Finish, but it isn't him. It's like alternate universes versions of him. But yeah, in the show itself, yeah, he stays dead.
Yeah. They've never been brave enough to do that yet in the new era.
No, because they did it with Katarina, and they had to do it with Katarina.
Yeah.
She didn't even know what a key was. I always feel a bit sorry for Katarina, but there you go. Adric had to go. And yeah, he stayed dead and he had to stay dead. However, he did appear in the next one, which is Time Flight, which that is awful.
Yeah, well,
that is really bad, and they all acknowledge that it's really bad. And it's one of those things where, oh, is it the Master? And it's like, yeah, it's the Master. And it's not very good, it's Time Flight. I'm not going to go into it too much because it's a waste of time, but it's just
a big advert for Concorde, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. They had the license, or they had the right to use Concorde, so they did. And they basically just shoehorned it in there. Yeah. Not good. And Tegan leaves. Or does she? Yeah. Because, that's the end of the season, and the very first story of the next season, she turns up again and stays.
Arc of Infinity.
Yes. Which, again, people don't seem to like, but I really do. I quite like it, although it is just an excuse to go off on a jolly to Amsterdam.
Yes, it is.
And it doesn't look quite as impressive as City of Death. Because Amsterdam isn't quite as impressive as Paris.
On Twitter, somebody has made a mashup of Only Fools and Horses and this story. They're all running around Amsterdam together.
Oh.
It's actually quite good.
There's loads of running around in Arc of Infinity.
Yeah.
And they bring Omega back, spoilers. But Batman's butler's in it as well. Alfred's in this one.
Yeah.
That's a really, really badly disguised villain. Really. But we do see, what's his chops? We do see the Castellan in this one. As Paul Jericho, first appearance of Paul Jericho as the Castellan, who would stay until the Five Doctors. And Leonard Sachs actually plays President Barusa in this one, from the good old days. And is this dude called Colin Baker?
Oh, I've never heard of him.
He plays this guy called Maxwell. Mm-hmm. He never shows up again in Doctor Who.
Oh, does he not? Oh, well, never mind.
Nah, he's a bit rubbish. The other thing I think is really funny is that an actor called John D. Collins turns up. And John D. Collins I know more for Hello Hello. He was one of the British Airmen.
Yeah.
They were trying to get rid of. But yeah, it's okay. The two Australian actors in it, her cousin and the other guy.
Yeah.
Shite. The worst fucking actors in anything I've ever seen. Her cousin is awful. And the Ergon's crap as well. That's a really bad monster, is the Ergon.
It's also got Blackadder's mum in.
Yes, Elspeth Grey. She played Chancellor Thalia.
Yeah. She wrote a book of her childhood in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good. It just really gets across the point of how bad it was to live in Glasgow in the first half of the 20th century.
Oh yeah, it was shite.
Absolute
degradation.
Yeah, poverty, degradation, drink, no work.
Yeah. It's not that much different now, is it really? Oh, sorry.
So recently for the day, and it's quite all right now.
Yeah, you still won't go down the East End on your own, though, would you?
No, I went to Central.
You won't go for a day trip to Govan.
No.
But then again, you wouldn't go for a day trip to Splot in Cardiff, would you?
Mm.
I'm just pissing everyone off today. It's fine. But there's this place in Swansea I wouldn't go down on my own. So, Town Hill, etc. I'm sure there's people in Swansea listening for fucking right. Anyway, moving on. Snake Dance is the next one. We've already talked a bit about this one. This is where the Mara makes a reappearance. Clunes is in this one. Martin Clunes. A very young Martin Clunes. Very young, very gawky.
Like he's wearing lipstick.
Yeah, and guy liner.
Yeah.
And a really silly costume at the end. But he owns it. I'll give him this. He never once on any show said, nah, it was stupid, I wish I'd not done it. He said, no, I was in Doctor Who, it was ace. It was one of the first things I ever did, and I was in Doctor Who. I'll tell you who else is in it as well. Only for a second, but for years and years and years before the internet, I used to watch it on video and think, especially in the mid-90s, I used to think, is that Bob Mills?
Mm-hmm.
Comedian and guy off In Bed With Me Dinner. Yeah, it is. It's Bob Mills. It's the first thing he did. One of the first things he did. I fucking love Bob Mills. Or at least I used to love In Bed With Me Dinner, but yeah, he's in it very, very briefly. I like Snake Dance though, because it is one of those things where it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where the protagonists, they know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And nobody will listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it. I kind of dig that. It's like, we've got to do this. We've got to do this now, or such horrible things are going to happen. Oh no, it's just a load of rubbish. It's just a legend. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, will you listen, you idiots? And you don't get that enough in Doctor Who anymore. Mm-hmm. It's also to do with Zen and Buddhism and a bit Planet of the Spiders-ish.
Yeah.
Which is cool, I guess. Not much of a fan of that, but I like Snake Dance. Mm. Oh, Liz Sladen's husband's in it as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Who popped up again in the first Capaldi one.
Yeah.
Deep Breath. But yeah, I like Snake Dance. Do you like Snake Dance?
Yes. Really good storyline.
Another one I like as well is more... Oh, sorry.
I was just about to say, like I said before, they should have really done more with that. They could have done a lot more.
With the Mara? Yeah. They should have. They should have done more with the Mara. I guess because it's abstract.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get across. But on the other hand, that should make it easy. You got this basically serial killer who can go from body to body and doesn't need to have a special effect. Mm-hmm. So it really is, because the Mara isn't a god at all. It's just this malevolent entity, isn't it? From another dimension. So really, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think they should have brought it back.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they should. It's such an interesting concept. It's basically the devil. Mm-hmm. But there you go. Next one up is Mordred Undead.
Yay.
Which I really like. It's got David Collins in it. I love David Collins. And it's got the Brigadier in it as well.
Yep.
Wasn't supposed to. Do you know what it was supposed to be originally?
Who?
Chesterton.
Ah.
But he was busy. He was working, so he couldn't do it. So they said, well, who else can we get in?
Why the Brigadier is a school teacher.
That's why he's a school teacher. Because originally he was going to be a science teacher. It was going to be Chesterton. Mm-hmm. Chesterton. But no, it ended up being the Brigadier because he was available. I mean, it kind of worked out. It would have been cool to see Chesterton again.
Yeah, but just made the Brigadier even more of a legend.
Well, yeah, he's a complete fucking legend. He saves the universe because that's what he does.
Yeah.
And this is where the first time you hear about the Blinovitch limitation effect and if you time travel and meet yourself you can't touch. Which they used in Time Cop, I think. Mm. The Van Damme film.
Yeah.
They used exactly the same conceit. As you can time travel, you can meet yourself, but you just can't touch yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, boom, bang, a bang. But yeah, I quite like it. It's the first appearance you get of Turlo as well.
Yes, we like Turlo.
We do like Turlo. Turlo's awesome, because Turlo is what most people would be like.
Yeah.
Please, not in the face, not in the face. He's not a coward, so I hate that when people say, oh, Turlo's a coward. No, he's not. He's a normal, reasonable person who thinks, hang on a minute, I could get killed. I don't want to die. Who wants to get killed, you fucking mentals? Like, I'm stuck here. I don't want to be here. This is shit. So this dude says I can take you away. Fair enough. Oh, all you have to do is kill this guy. Oh, whatever. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. And you can tell at the time that Turlo has no intention of following through. Mm-hmm. He's just saying it. It's like, yeah, whatever. I'm really scared and I don't want to be here and I don't want to be anywhere near you, you creepy old fuck. You have a bit of a paedophile look about you, Black Guardian. I'll be honest. Because the other thing is, and it wouldn't happen these days, but Turlo was clearly about 30 odd, right?
Yeah.
And he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be what, 17, 18? Mm-hmm. But he's not. Mark Strickson's clearly in his late 20s.
Oh, I don't know. It still happens that the cast was 20, 30-year-olds as teenagers.
Oh, yeah, but they do try and get young-looking ones.
Yeah.
Like Michael J. Fox, you know, who was like 30 when he was playing 18 or whatever it was. 15 almost.
Then again, the Nicholas Brandon in Buffy, who was clearly in his late 30s, playing it.
Well, yeah. But Hannigan wasn't. I mean, I think everybody was shocked when they found out how old Alison Hannigan was. And she's like in her 40s now, isn't she?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But Strickson, sadly, looks 25 to 30. He's also dyed ginger as well, because he's not ginger in real life. He's really, it's like blonde.
Yeah.
But he had to dye, and that's one of the reasons he left in the end as well. Yeah. Because he got sick of fucking dyeing his hair. But Mark Strickson's great, and I really do like Turlo a lot, because like I say, he's reasonable. He's a normal human being in this stupid situation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mordrin Undead's great. David Collins is great. I do like the fact that the Doctor would have given his whole lives up to save this small group of people.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's the most Doctorish thing that he will ever do. Mm. You know, it doesn't matter that it wasn't saving the universe.
Yeah.
He was just saving, 10 people at most?
Yeah. I just like the way this one starts at the end.
Yeah, it just stops.
Yeah. It starts just as the Brigadier's... It starts in 1983 and the Brigadier's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. I don't know who you are. And then he gets that flashback scene. It's like, oh yeah, hello, Doctor. The only thing I don't like is that he ain't got his tash. Yeah. It looks weird. He needs his tash.
Yeah.
He needs a tash to look like the Brigadier, but anyway. Terminus is the next one. I'll be honest, I never seem to remember much about Terminus. This is the one with the rack, isn't it?
Yes. The one the disease.
Yeah, it's basically leprosy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I've never really watched much of it. Is this the one where Nyssa stays, isn't it?
Yes.
She stays to take care of the leper colony, effectively, doesn't she? But I've never really watched it. I've watched bits of Terminus. And this is terrible to admit as a Doctor Who fan, but there are going to be ones that I've not seen so much of. I remember reading the book. Mm-hmm. I think I had the book as a kid.
Stolen from the school library?
No, I think I bought that one, actually. I know. But yeah, again, it doesn't seem to be held in high regard, doesn't Terminus?
Which is weird, because it is a very, very good storyline.
It does seem to be. Sorry, I was taking a drink then. That's very unprofessional. It certainly seems to be. And Nyssa leaves for very Nyssa reasons.
Yeah. Also, Nyssa gets... clothing becomes less and less and less till she's just basically standing up in her underwear.
Yeah, which I always found a bit wrong for Nyssa.
Yeah.
She's not a sex symbol. She's not meant to be a sex symbol.
Yeah.
She's the brains of the outfit. That's why I like her. So I think this is awesome.
This is the one where she finally loses our innocence of the universe anyway, this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a bit wide-eyed, isn't she?
Yeah.
Is Nyssa of the universe. But again, that's kind of the reason I like her. She's a bit like Ray out of the Ghostbusters. She's all about this science, the wonders of the universe and science and that kind of thing. And I really like this. And it's one of the best things I ever did was bring Sarah Sutton back for the Big Finish audios because she's awesome in those.
Kaylee from Firefly kind of reminds me of Nyssa a bit.
Yeah. That's Jewel, isn't it?
Yes.
And on Jewel play, yeah. I don't, not really. I've never seen it, but I've seen the film, so I kind of know who that is. Jewel's awesome. So, yeah, I can see that. I can see where she'd be like that. Yeah, you got this character who likes science and is interested in anything that the universe could throw at her. And I liked Nyssa. She was a good character. And then you're left with Tegan and Turlo. You got Enlightenment next, which again is not one that I've seen much of, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I do know Nurse Gladys Emanuel's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's brilliant. It's set on galleons in outer space.
Yeah.
Right.
It does seem interesting. I've just never really watched it. It's just a shame you think I would, because Keith Bloody Barron's in it. Yeah, Dude Out of Imagination. Imagination, Lee John?
Yeah.
It's just an illusion. But yeah, he's in it, and it's sort of the final reckoning with the Black Guardian, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do remember that, and Enlightenment is an entity?
Yes.
And it's all to do with solar winds and and the Eternals.
It wasn't the diamond, but the choice itself.
Yes. I can say I've not really watched it. I need to watch it. It looks pretty good.
Oh, it's brilliant. And also Tegan gets to wear a lovely 15th century dress.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
And she has the Enlightenment jewel in her crown, the MacGuffin.
Yeah. It seems like a very action-orientated one, which they did quite well with the Fifth Doctor.
And Linda Barron's bloody brilliant. And
she's great in anything.
She chooses scenery a bit, obviously, because what else can you do when you're an actor in Doctor Who?
And it's Linda Barron, for God's sakes. That's what she does. She's ace. She's got a massive bosom as well.
Did you see her in that Coronation Street thing?
No.
How they made it. And she turned at the very end as Ina Sharples.
Which I was going to say, was she Ina Sharples?
Yeah, she turned up at the very end to be Violet Carson.
Did they have... nice. Did they have somebody play Kambala?
Yes, they did. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was
his son, was it?
Kambala's son, yes, it was.
Was it Linus?
Yes, and...
was it Linus Roach?
Yes. And Cat out of EastEnders was Pat Phoenix.
Pat Phoenix? Yeah. Of course she was. Yeah, that's perfect, because she was a Pat Phoenix of EastEnders, wasn't she?
Yes.
But yeah, that's awesome that they got Linus Roach to do William Roach. That's cool. 'Cause he's, in the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, he's Thomas Wayne. He's Batman's dad. So yeah, I like Linus Roach. He's a very good actor, but that's cool. King's Demons is next. I love the King's Demons. Again, it's only a 2-parter. But it's the first time we see Chameleon.
I have to confess, I don't think I've ever seen this one.
It's great. It's, like I say, it's only a 2-parter, but it's one of those pseudo-historical ones again. So it's a bit like Time Warrior, if you think of that. But the Master's in it as well. And obviously, and it's the last one before 5 Doctors, but yeah, you get Chameleon, who is an android and is a shapeshifter, and cause loads of, apparently there's a curse of Chameleon. Anybody who's had anything to do with him intimately, he's died. He's died. It's a fucking great grandma that was. He's dead. The guy who created, in reality, the robot, he died really young before they filmed it, and he was the only one who knew how to properly operate the thing. So that's the reason it looks horrible and jerky and doesn't really work. Is because the only guy who knew how it worked died. So yeah, it's a little bit rubbish on that front. But yeah, I like the King's Demons. It's quite a good one. It doesn't last very long, which is always good. And I quite like the Doctor in medieval mysteries and stuff. It's pretty good. We won't mention much about the Five Doctors because it's its own thing. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really add anything to anything. It's just a celebration. It is awesome. And obviously we will talk about it. Probably talk about it after we've done all the Doctors, actually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like the Five Doctors. Do you like the Five Doctors?
Yes, I do.
There we are.
What I can think of is that I've had the best bloody enemies that the Doctor could have faced, which we've never ever seen. The Raston Warrior.
Yeah.
Imagine the Doctor up against that.
Well, it wouldn't. Well, as the Cybermen found out, it wouldn't last long.
No.
Next up, we've got Warriors of the Deep. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. It could have been good. It could have been. It had the Silurians and the Sea Devils in it, but sadly, it's an overlit, rushed, cheaped out piece of crap.
Yeah.
With Ingrid Pitt in it for some reason.
And I still can't understand it now. Weird.
I understand it. It's a Cold War drama. Yeah. That's all it is. It's like Crimson Tide. It's basically what it is. It's the Sea Devils and the Silurians trying to instigate a nuclear war. Mm. Fine, no problem with that. That's quite a clever thing. And they're a lot less sympathetic than they were in the other two series that they were in. Because this season is a season where they're trying to get every classic monster in it. It's sort of the 20th anniversary special season. Yeah. It's cool. But
yeah, everybody in this one dies.
Yeah, it's another one where everybody dies, and it's also like spy intrigue and.
Yeah. I think this one leads back to what you said earlier, where no matter what the Doctor does, it's just going to play out anyway.
Yeah, it would have played out exactly the same had he not been. It's a Raiders of the Lost Ark story, is what it is. Because you know that thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark, don't you?
Yeah.
That had Indy not been there, it still would have all happened exactly pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And this is one of those.
Yeah.
It's just all the Doctor does is delay things, if anything. Mm. But it's just, the base is overlit. If that had been properly light and directed, that would have looked awesome.
Yeah.
And the fucking Merker, who is literally the guys from Rent-A-Ghost. I found out. I just thought it looked like Dobbin, but it's actually literally the guys who were in, and they didn't know what they were doing. Mm. They'd never been in anything like this before. They just played it like a pantomime horse. Mm. Fuck me. No wonder Johnny Byrne didn't write for Doctor Who again and just went to All Creatures. But it's just rubbish. And it's Pennant Roberts as well. Pennant Roberts usually is pretty good, but not in this one. Then you've got another two-parter in The Awakening with the Marlis, which is okay.
I was terrified as a kid.
The Marlis is pretty frightening.
Yeah, things coming out of the wall, hidden behind.
Yeah. It's like the wall monster out of Nightmare.
Yeah. And also that was another reason why... I can't remember the bloody name of the story now. The 11's first story, The Crack in the Wall.
Oh, the 11th Hour.
The 11th Hour, yeah, with a crack on the wall. I went, I hate cracks.
Yeah.
I hate cracks.
The frigging Malice.
Yeah.
But it's quite good. It's all that thing about tea as well. Mm. At the end. It's pretty good, is The Awakening. Not held in great regard, apparently. Dennis Lill's in it, though, so, you know, how bad can it be? Dennis Lill's awesome. And I've seen the Marlis at the Doctor Who exhibition as well.
Yeah, I never got to go.
Never got to go? Oh.
Supposed to go for the last showing, the last day of it, but we never got there.
Been about 5 times. But to be fair, I live in the next city across, so, you know. But I've been a few, so I do apologise. You can see all the pictures I took.
Yeah.
Next up is one I always think is a bit weird, and that's Frontios.
Yes, this one's weird.
It's just weird, and it's not very good. I don't really like Frontios. It's got Jeff Rawle in it, who was in The Dead Donkey. Mm. And I had the book, and the book goes on forever. Because Chris Bidmead wrote it, and he thought, I'll tell you what, let's say this already complicated plot, and I'm going to expand it. Because that's what you needed. It's all to do with slugs.
Yeah.
Controlling gravity, and A bit like in Starship Troopers, where the arachnids and that can use gravity to hurl asteroids at planets. They are hurling asteroids at their own planet because they want to take over the universe and stuff, and they're controlling people's minds and all to do with miners, and it's all a bit grim, dark, and depressing.
Sounds a bit like Pokemon, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. It goes on forever, and it's 4 episodes, but it feels like 10.
Yeah.
Let's just say it started off with 8 million viewers. It ended up with 5.6 million viewers. It's not good. I don't like Frontier so much. It's a bit of a dud. It's, and I will watch it because some Doctor Who's better than no Doctor Who, right?
True.
But, the worst Doctor Who is still better than most things on telly, but it's not one of my favourites. One of my favourites next is Resurrection of the Daleks.
Yeah, I think this one has to go down as the best story of, tied with this, and Caves of Androzani is the best stories that the 5th Doctor had.
I would say this, Caves, and Earthshock.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 2 episodes, 45 minutes each, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Very violent, very bleak. The Doctor uses guns twice. The army's involved. Rodney Bewes involved.
Yeah.
Leslie Grantham's involved. And Davros comes back.
Play Scoop presenters in it as well.
Yeah. Quite a few of them. And Davros is involved. This is the first time he's in it, played by Terry Malloy. And he's epic. I love Davros by Terry Malloy. A lot of people have this thing where they say, oh, Wish is better. I think Wish is different.
Yes.
This is an older Davros. This is a more pissed off Davros.
Yes.
Than he was before. They never do explain why he looks different. Somebody has, I think they sort of retroactively said it's because he was cryogenically frozen in Destiny and it went wrong, which is why he looks different than when he does in the first time you see him. He looks less human. Which is funny because they've gone back to how he looked in Genesis now, but there you go. But yeah, there's not much joy to be had here. I think rural areas in that as well. Sorry, Rula Lenska.
Yeah. She's
in it, but I call her rural areas because it's my favourite joke in the world. And when it says rural areas, I always say, oh, she was married to Dennis Waterman, wasn't she? I blame Fright Skinner for that one. But, yes, it's all to do with a civil war with the Daleks and Magellan viruses, and yeah, it's heavy continuity based. Is Resurrection.
Convoluted plot to clone all the Time Lords.
Yeah, and you can see Davison's fillings. It's, bleak. It's good, don't get me wrong, we will do it in depth, absolutely we will, but it's directed by Matthew Robinson, who I think went on to have something to do with EastEnders as well. And it's filmed in Docklands as well, and Docklands was just being regenerated. I think it's just before it was regenerated, so it's the part of London that looks shitty.
Yeah. Been down
Doesn't
before it was, when it was shit, and then after it was not shit.
I can't imagine going down there when it was shit. It looks awful. It looks really dangerous.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, it's totally not dangerous. It's very affluent, in fact. It's sort of like a little history capsule as well. Moving on. A Planet of Fire, which was an excuse for them all to bugger off to Lanzarote for a bit of a holiday. And this is the Master's last appearance with the 5th Doctor, and Chameleon's last appearance as well. He'd sort of been in series in and out, but was never, because he didn't work basically. He wasn't in much the 5th Doctor's era, but Planet of Fire, Peter Wingard's in it. And it's Turdo's home planet, and there's a big plot involving the Master, and nothing much happens in Planet of Fire.
No.
Although we do get to meet Perry.
Yeah, she's in a bikini.
Yeah.
Rescued by Turlo and those very, very tight shorts.
Short shorts.
Very, very disturbing.
Yeah, I don't like short shorts.
No.
Do you like short shorts?
No.
I don't like short shorts. I don't like short shorts. Especially don't like them when some pasty blonde lads in them, but never mind. So Planet of Fire, that happened. That was a thing, right? It was literally just to get rid of the Master, who sets himself away. He's set on fire. Mm-hmm. Gets rid of Turlough, brings Perry in. And then, in continuity, and it is continuity now, they bugger off a load of adventures in the Big Finish audios and pick up Cybermen and go on loads of adventures with her. Yeah. And then, in series, you see an X in the Caves of Androzani, and that's it for the Fifth Doctor. This is Robert Holmes wrote this one. He was specifically asked to do it by Eric Sayward, who went apparently over J&T's head to do it as well. He wasn't very happy about it. And Graham Harper comes back to direct, and it's his first proper directing job. He'd done sort of second assistant director sort of thing, you know, on things like Seed of Doom, because he was one of Douglas Camfield's acolytes.
Yeah.
And
he's supposed to be in this.
Yeah, well, Douglas Camfield was asked, and he just, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's too stressful, so he said, Graham Harper will do it, though. Mm-hmm. And he did a great job.
Yeah.
Fucking Graham Harper's ace. And Robert Holmes is ace. And because he'd not done a Fifth Doctor story, he said, well, he's had too easy time of it. Tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to put him through hell. Mm-hmm. And he does. I mean, he's just like, sort of from the very first second of the episode, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's a weird one because you got all those bits where they're in trouble, and you ain't got the main. Because Sharaz Jack isn't really the main bad guy.
No, he's not even a bad guy really at all. He's
just a Phantom of the Opera, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just a guy who's been done wrong, and he's trying to get a bit of revenge for it.
Yeah. David Bowie was supposed to be cast as Sharaz Jack, but he clashed with the tour, so he couldn't.
Yeah, no, it would have been awesome if he had, though.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
He'd always wanted to be in Doctor Who. I mean, he loved it.
Yeah. That's a shame. But yeah, he was Sharaz Jack, and like I say, wasn't really a bad guy. The bad guy was on Androzani Major.
Yeah.
With all that political and business intrigue going on. So it's a weird one, because you've got loads of running around, loads of danger, loads of peril, and then you've got these weird bits where it's just two people in an office talking about share prices and stuff. Letting you know, in no uncertain terms, who Robert Holmes thought bad guys were in reality. But that's great. I love it. It's brilliant. And the Doctor, again, sacrifices. Very small scale, this Doctor. Rather than saving the universe, sacrificing his life, he's quite prepared to do it for the little guy.
Yeah.
And he does it again with Perry, because he's pretty sure he's going to die. Mm-hmm. And he has one of the best regeneration sequences ever.
Yes. And nothing will stop me now. He's so dramatic at the end when the ship's crashing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, he's ace in this. Is Davison's finest hour. He should have stayed. He wanted to. He said the moment I started regretting it really was when we started filming Caves of Androzani, because we could have had loads more of them.
Yeah.
Then that would have been fucking brilliant, basically. But wasn't to be. He'd already left, and the last episode of that series was the Twin Dilemma. Yeah. Just a bit of a come down from the Caves of Androzani, really, isn't it? But yeah, yes. I still like it.
Same idea and not a moment too soon.
Exactly. Oh, it's that again is one of the best post-regeneration sequences ever. That's 3 eyes in one sentence. You seem a rather egotistical young lady. I love him. Yeah. As much as I love the Fifth Doctor, and I do, what comes next is great. So much so, I nearly own all these stories now.
Yeah.
But there you go. So Caves of Androzani, brilliant set of. I mean, if you're going to go out, that's the way you go out.
Yeah.
And again, people knew that because it started off at 6.9 million viewers, ended up at 7.8 million viewers for the last 2 episodes. Which ain't bad. Mm-hmm. They kill for those figures these days, but there you go. So, I mean, overall, what would you say about the Fifth Doctor? Why do you think he works so well and is so well loved by the fandom?
Because he's just so nice. And then all of a sudden, like the 11th, he can just turn on a dime and be a really, really vindictive bastard. He does have those, you don't see it often, but there's the odd flash here and there, especially when he's confronting Davros. And in Caves of Androzani when he's trying to get the Spectrox back to Perry.
Yeah, you do get the feeling that there's a lot of darkness in him.
Yeah.
Just under the surface, and he does try and fight to keep it hidden a lot of the time. Whereas, with other doctors, especially the next Doctor, he doesn't try and keep it under wraps so much.
No, he just... he doesn't give a fuck.
No, he quite clearly doesn't, sweet, your feet. And then, like he says, it's just he actually admits it. He said it was driving me mental, not indulging my darker urges occasionally. Keeping it all in was killing me.
Yeah.
Which, you can explain that the Sixth Doctor is actually a reaction to the Fifth Doctor because he was so nice, but he was clearly keeping it in, that dark side. It came out a bit more and added to the Sixth Doctor's original mental instability.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Sixie would have killed Davros on the spot in Resurrection.
Had they been in that situation, yeah. I mean, Seven did, as far as he was aware, he did kill Davros. Mm-hmm. As when he destroyed Skaro and the Dalek mothership was destroyed, as far as he knew, Davros was killed.
Yeah.
I reckon 11 would have done it as well.
Oh, yes.
And 10 certainly would have done.
So would 12.
Well, I mean, the thing is about 10, he originally said, come with me. I mean, but, I reckon towards the end, that they would have just offed him.
Yeah.
But 11 certainly would have done. Yeah. I don't think 11 would have had a problem with that at all whatsoever.
I think 12 in the first series would have killed Davros, but...
Yeah. Well, he did. I mean, he totally killed that robot, didn't he?
But
in Deep Breath, he killed the robot, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I think he did.
I think he did. I totally think he did. I don't think he had much of a problem with it either. Because that was prime Malcolm Tucker's 12th Doctor, wasn't it?
Yes. And then you get the Witches for Maria and the Magician's Apprentice, where he's had countless opportunities to kill Davros. Even in the same bloody room as him for ages, and he didn't kill him.
I think because he'd mellowed by then, and he thought, I don't want to kill him. I'd rather he be on my side.
Yeah, I am a good man. No,
well, he's an idiot. He's an idiot with a box.
Yes, he's an idiot, and he had the chance to kill Davros bloody 10 times over and didn't.
Yeah. Because, I don't know, if he was a killer like that, I mean, even Six had the chance to kill him, and he'd rather just talk him to death at the end of the day. I'd just berate him. Well, like I say, I don't think 11th ever met him, did he?
No.
He would have totally done it. He's the darkest of all the Doctors here, right?
Yeah, he is. He's definitely...
He's the darkest and most self-loathing.
He's the Loki of the Doctors.
He's the Valiard. He's basically where the Valiards... I would love them to bring the Valiard back at some point.
Yeah.
They never will, but I love them too. But anyway, yes, Fifth Doctor, he's nice and that...
And beige.
He's nice and beige and a bit red.
He's a decorative vegetable.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, we like him, don't we? Mm-hmm. Excellent stuff. We'll leave it there. I think that's a good place to leave it. So next time we'll be looking at Sixie, my personal favourite classic era Doctor. Mm-hmm. And I shall be very verbose about why I love him so much, I reckon. Because you have to be.
Yeah, most he doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't give a shit. He's great. Anyway, Leigh, where can people find you on the old wide world of the interwebs? You
can find me on Twitter at LeighFitsIn. And you can find me on our Facebook page, which I shall at Nerva Beacon Pod.
Yep, on Twitter and on Facebook.com/Nerva Beacon Podcast. Excellent stuff. If you want to find me on the old wide world of the interwebs, you can find me at Cymru Nerd Cave on Twitter and Glenn Jakeman on Facebook. Please do leave a message though if you're going to add me on Facebook, otherwise I won't know where you're from. I probably won't accept it, and everybody's unhappy. So, do you want to make everybody unhappy? Don't do that. But like I say, we should be back next time with the Sixth Doctor and talking about his not so long era on the Doctor, but has been sort of retroactively deemed quite important.
Yes, especially with the Big Finish audios.
With the Big Finish audios and with the fandom, who seem to absolutely love the fact that he has basically just wholeheartedly accepted and embraced the fact that Jodie Whittaker's going to be Doctor.
Yes, And we'll also shall we get into 70s porn Colin as well?
I think we have to get to 70s porn brothers Colin.
Yes.
Yeah, why not? Excellent stuff. We shall leave it there then. Leigh, say bye-bye to all the lovely people.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. We'll speak to you next time. Bye.